Always great to have Ian Castleberry playing with the Wise Guys. And, of course, Ian's appearance is presented by Happy Hill Restaurant. Ian Castleberry, hope you're having a good Monday, friend.
Yeah, off to a good start.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you as always. We'll get to Trevor Bauer in a moment and his future, because what you said about him early when this story broke may have taken another step to becoming reality. But let's start first up in Queens, where last night's Yankees-Mets Subway Series finale had more drama than a Real Housewives episode on Bravo. And that's saying a lot if you've ever watched The Real Housewives. And Ian, the Mets' Francisco Lindor, who's been struggling this season after signing a huge contract with the Mets. He was smack dab in the middle of it. He hit 3 home runs. Boy, he waited a while to get going, didn't he? Including the game winner in the 8th inning. And, of course, Ian, the drama centered around Lindor and an accusation the Yanks were trying to steal the Mets' signs.
Yeah, I cannot speak to whether this is as dramatic as a Real Housewives series. But,
so buddy, gotcha.
This is what you want to see in a Subway series, between the Yankees and the Mets. Of course, the two teams, New York teams meeting on the weekend of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. But really, you want to see the Mets and the Yankees go at it. And this is definitely what we had on Sunday night. As you said, Lindor hit 3 home runs, finally beginning to show that he's worth that huge contract, the investment, the trade that the Mets made for him. Still batting .227, but he showed that he can put up MVP caliber numbers. Hopefully for the Mets, he does it through September and into next season as well. But yes, the Mets believe that the Yankees were stealing signs from pitcher Taijuan Walker on Saturday, or that Walker was tipping his pitches and that they were whistling to give signs to their batters as to what was coming. So after Lindor hit his 2nd home run of the game, he taunted the Yankees pitcher Wandy Peralta, was whistling, and said something to Gleyber Torres, the Yankees second baseman, and they took issue with that. Words were exchanged on his way around the bases, and then things really ignited in the 7th inning. Giancarlo Stanton hit a game-tying home run, and as he's going around the bases, he taunted Lindor and Javier Baez to the point where between 2nd and 3rd base, he was actually jogging backward towards 3rd base while he's talking to Lindor. And then by the time Stanton crossed home plate, both dugouts were on the field, ready to throw down, apparently. So definitely some drama. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, this week there's ESPN 30 for 30 about the 1986 New York Mets on Tuesday and Wednesday. I got a preview of it. It's very good. And one of the things about that 86 team is that they were expected to win, but they did not take crap from any team. They got, I think, into 4 fights that season on the field. And I kind of got a little bit of that tone from the Mets on Sunday night.
Oh, man. Yeah. I can't wait to see that, by the way. Does that begin tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, it's a 4-part documentary. So parts 1 and 2 on Tuesday, parts 3 and 4 on Wednesday.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I've got to record those. Ian Castleberry plays with the Wise Guys, of course, on the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines, presented by Happy Hill Restaurant. Baseball headlines for you, including Major League Baseball extending Trevor Bauer's leave of absence really through the rest of the season, Ian. He's out of action due to multiple accusations of a sexual assault by a woman who claims Bauer choked her several times. Granted, it was rough sex. Her point was, I kept telling him no, and he kept doing it. Why the latest extension by Major League Baseball, Ian?
Well, from purely a baseball standpoint, the Dodgers are going to say there's not enough time for Bauer to get ready to pitch through September and into the postseason with all the time that he has missed. But Major League Baseball, they haven't issued a suspension. They're waiting to see whether or not the Los Angeles County District Attorney presses charges. But even so, I don't think the Dodgers want Bauer anywhere near their clubhouse. They don't want this distraction through the postseason. Every time he starts or anytime he pitches, this is going to be a question to manager Dave Roberts, to his teammates. Major League Baseball has still not spoken to Bauer, by the way, about these accusations and their investigation. So both sides, Major League Baseball and Bauer's side, the players' union, agreed that his administrative leave would be extended through the postseason here. So Trevor Bauer is not going to pitch again this season.
Oh boy, that begs the question, Ian. You were when this story first broke. I asked you like, where could this go? And you said, I don't think Trevor Bauer is going to pitch again in the major leagues. So you think it's heading in that direction?
A lot of the industry scuttlebutt, if you will, says Bauer's at least facing a 1-year suspension, maybe even 2 years. And there is some precedent for this. Sam Dyson, a reliever for the Texas Rangers, was suspended for domestic abuse, domestic violence allegations, and he was suspended for the entire 2021 season. Now, even if Bauer isn't ultimately charged by the district attorney, Major League Baseball could still decide, based on what they find, to suspend him. They have done that. They have suspended players under their domestic violence policy, even though they weren't charged. And this could still go to a civil suit. So really, as you and I have been saying, if you're a Major League Baseball team, do you want that? Do you want to sign Trevor Bauer, who's unquestionably talented, could be the ace of your pitching staff? But do you want those headlines every time he takes them out? What does that say to your female fans if you're a Major League Baseball team that you find it okay to sign someone like Trevor Bauer? So, yeah, I think certainly while his legal status is up in the air, kind of like we're seeing with Deshaun Watson in the NFL, and then pending whatever suspension, Major League Baseball, hands down, teams are going to stay far, far away from Trevor Bauer until all this clears up, certainly.
Yeah, agreed. I don't see that happening. Not in today's world. You got to be, when you're held accountable for your actions, especially in today's society and something like this, it's not easy to break out of, for sure. As Ian Castleberry plays with the Wise Guys, presented by Happy Hill Restaurant. Padres and the surprising Reds are in a fight for the final playoff spot in the National League and Ian, with only 3 weeks left in the season. Which team would you guess is going to win out on this one?
Yeah, based on talent, I would have said the Padres, but I never thought the Padres would be in this position to begin with. And they continue to suffer injuries. Blake Snell left his last start with a shoulder injury. But if you look at the Padres and the Reds schedules for the rest of September, it is decidedly in favor of the Reds. The Padres, they have 9 games against the Giants, the NL West leading Giants. They have 3 at the Dodgers, 3 at the Cardinals, who are also in the wild card race behind the Padres and Reds, 3 versus the Braves. Now you compare that to the Reds schedule, who they have 9 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. They do have to face the Dodgers, and they do have 2 at the White Sox, but their September schedule is essentially the Pirates and the Nationals, 2 of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. So just based on schedule alone, it certainly looks like the Reds have the advantage down the stretch.
All right, Matt Jungle, are you listening? Your Reds could be in the postseason. Did you refresh me, Ian? Did you see this coming at the beginning of the season for Cincy?
I did not. I just the Reds offseason baffled me with their pitching or decisions. Like letting Trevor Bauer go. Nick Castellanos has been a great signing for them, but especially in the NL Central with the Brewers, with the Cubs, with the Cardinals, I did not see the Reds contending for a playoff spot.
Oh, man. Good for the Reds. I mean, I grew up a Reds fan, the Big Red Machine. Those were my guys. And so I always, in the back of my mind, it's always a soft spot for Cincinnati. As Ian Castleberry plays with the Wise Guys, Major League Baseball headlines presented by Happy Hill Restaurant. Thanks to DC and the gang for joining us, or for having Ian join us on the Wise Lines. Well, this was pretty interesting. You don't see this very often. Milwaukee pitches a combined no-hitter against the Indians. And Ian, if I can ask you this, how many pitchers did it take for the Brew Crew to shut out Cleveland?
It took 2 pitchers for the Brewers to no-hit the Indians. Corbin Burns went 8 innings, a career-high 115 pitches, struck out 14 batters. Corbin Burns in contention for the National League Cy Young Award. I don't know if he'll win it with, as we're going to talk about, Max Scherzer, the way he's pitching. But Josh Hader, the Milwaukee's outstanding closer, closed that game out. So this is the 9th no-hitter in this baseball season, which sets a new record. Yeah. Even going back to 1884, the most no-hitters we've seen in a season was 8. So we have 9 now, and you count those 7-inning no-hitters. There have been 2 this season. There have been a whole lot of no-hitters, and there have been, I believe, 3 since Major League Baseball started cracking down on sticky substances. So Still an impressive achievement. And then not an impressive achievement, depending on your point of view. The Indians were no hit for the third time this season. That also, as would be said in Bull Durham, new league record. Wade Miley and Carlos Rodon no hit the Indians earlier this season. The Indians were also no hit in a 7-inning no hitter by 5 Tampa Bay pitchers. But as we've talked about, Major League Baseball does not recognize games less than 9 innings for an official no-hitter.
The poor Cleveland.
Can I go? This is another great stat.
Sure.
Indians pitcher Zach Plesac was the losing pitcher in all 3 of those no-hitters.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that sucks for him, man. It's like he's not saying, can you just get me some runs? He's like, can you just hit the damn ball? Can you get a hit, for crying out loud? Oh, that poor guy. No poor guy here, Ian Castleberry. Max Scherzer gets career strikeout 3,000 against the Padres, and he sure did it quietly. I mean, honestly, remember when he came to the Nats from your Tigers? It's like he was the number 2 guy behind Steven Strasburg, and that script has certainly flipped, Ian.
Max Scherzer, arguably the best free agent signing, certainly a free agent pitcher signing in Major League history. And as you said, he established himself as the Nationals ace. That was the beginning of the Tigers' downfall. You know, they were contenders throughout most of the mid-2000s through the 2010s. But once the Tigers decided to let Max Scherzer go, that really was the beginning of the end. But Scherzer has been outstanding. He's been outstanding all season, but for the Dodgers especially, he's 6-0, a 0.88 ERA, 72 strikeouts in 51 innings to go with a 14-4 record overall. We mentioned Corbin Burns as a National League Cy Young Award candidate, but he's going to have to overtake Max Scherzer to get it.
By the way, would you say, Ian, is it fair to say that Scherzer may be the greatest trading deadline deal for a pitcher ever?
He certainly has to be in the conversation, but I think there's 3 that you could argue were better or more important. I would point to, my top pick would be 2008 when the Brewers got CC Sabathia. That was in early July, so he had more starts for the Brewers, but Sabathia went 11-2, 1.65 ERA, 128 strikeouts. That would be my pick for the best trade line deal for a pitcher. You also have to look at 1998. The Astros got Randy Johnson, who went 10-1, a 1.2 ERA. And then 1987, the Tigers got Doyle Alexander, who went 9-0, 1.53 ERA, led the Tigers to an AL East title, but that did cost the Tigers John Smoltz, who the prospect who was traded to the Atlanta Braves in that deal. So in terms of what it cost the Tigers, I don't know if you could say that was the best trade deadline deal, but Scherzer is certainly among those other 3 in the conversation.
Boy, no kidding. It's Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. Man, great recap of the big headlines going on right now in Major League Baseball. Thanks so much for stopping by, friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great talking to you, Pat.
You always. Appreciate you, man. Ian Castleberry. And, of course, Ian writes for thecomeback.com, awfulannouncing.com. Check out both and like both on Facebook.